As the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne was only part of who he was. He was a television personality, a rock star, and someone who overcame more personal issues than the average person. Viewers saw Ozzy go through the ups and downs of life, from his raucous live performances to his honest family moments. Addiction, disease, and the media were all forces he had to overcome. Reports of his autopsy have recently surfaced, leaving the globe in a state of disbelief. Nobody anticipated this given his history of health problems. Why did he die exactly? Come explore the alarming autopsy results that Ozzy Osbourne has revealed with us. John Michael Osbourne, better known as Ozzy Osbourne, came from modest circumstances. He was born on December 3, 1948, in Birmingham, England. He and his siblings, 2 brothers and 3 sisters, were raised in a working-class household. The 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne, a biography, revealed the hardships he endured during that time. He once said, "I felt like a peasant." But his father never lost hope in him and told Ozzy he would do something big one day. That belief pushed Ozzy forward. In 1968, he teamed up with Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, and Terence Geezer Butler to form the band Black Sabbath. 2 years later, in 1970, they released their first album. That album was just the start of what would later be known as heavy metal. Black Sabbath quickly became a huge name, but with success came problems. By 1979, things started falling apart. Ozzy was kicked out of the band due to drug use and fighting. Still, he didn't give up. He began a solo career in 1980, and it was even more successful than before. Over the years, Ozzy rejoined Black Sabbath several times. They made new music and toured again until they finally stopped in 2017. Even after all that, Ozzy kept making music on his own. In 2022, he released his final solo album, Patient No. 9. He didn't just make music, he made history. Altogether, including his solo work and band albums, Ozzy sold over 100 million records. He got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and the Birmingham Walk of Stars. He was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Black Sabbath in 2006, and then again as a solo artist in 2024. On top of that, he was given the Global Icon Award at the MTV Europe Music Awards in 2014 and the Ivor Novello Award for Lifetime Achievement in 2015. But Ozzy's life wasn't just about music. It was about struggles, family, and facing the darkest parts of himself. And those parts were often seen by the public, especially when he let the world into his home on national TV. The Osbournes, fame, family, and pain. In the early 2000s, Ozzy Osbourne showed fans a different side of his life. He became a reality TV star when he appeared on The Osbournes, a show on MTV that ran from 2002 to 2005. Along with his wife Sharon and their kids, Kelly and Jack, Ozzy let cameras into their home. The show was a big hit and made the Osbourne family even more famous. But behind the laughs and chaos was a lot of pain. In a 2020 interview with GQ, Ozzy said the show was hard on everyone. After 3 years of filming it, the kids were all on drugs. Sharon was battling cancer, he shared. Ozzy then asked the family if they wanted to continue. They all said no, and the show ended. Still, Ozzy added that he was glad they did it. It gave fans a look into their real lives, but it also came with a cost. Ozzy's personal life was far from smooth. He was married twice and had 6 children. In 1971, he met his first wife, Thelma Riley, at a nightclub in Birmingham. They married that same year and had 2 kids, Jessica and Lewis. Ozzy also adopted Thelma's son from a previous relationship, Elliot. But this marriage was full of problems. Ozzy called it a terrible mistake. He was on the road a lot, and his drug and alcohol use made things worse. In fact, in the documentary, God Bless Ozzy Osbourne, made by his son, Jack, Ozzy admitted he couldn't even remember when Jessica and Louis were born. That shows how lost he was during that time. In 1982, Ozzy married Sharon Arden, who was also his manager. They had 3 children together, Amy, Kelly, and Jack. After Jack was born, Ozzy had a vasectomy. He later joked that they chose July 4th as their wedding date, so he would never forget their anniversary. Their relationship had its ups and downs, but they stayed together through it all. Ozzy even wrote songs for his children. One of them was for Amy and appeared as a B-side on the album Osmosis. At the end of the song, Amy says, "I'll always be your angel," which matched the lyrics in the chorus. Another song on Osmosis, My Little Man, was written about Jack. In their later years, the family split their time between homes in Buckinghamshire and Los Angeles. Ozzy became a grandfather, and despite all the pain and mistakes, his love for family was clear. But Ozzy Osbourne's life was never easy, and in his later years, his health began to fade. While the public saw him as strong and wild, his body had taken a lot of damage. He fought through countless challenges, both physical and emotional, but through it all, he stayed in the spotlight, making music and spending time with his family. Ozzy's final years and health struggles. Ozzy Osbourne died on July 22, 2025 at the age of 76. His family confirmed the news in a statement saying, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love." Fans around the world were heartbroken, especially because it came just weeks after he gave his final performance on July 5 in Birmingham, England. Over 40,000 people attended that concert, including celebrities like Jason Momoa and Steven Tyler. For many, it was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to see the Prince of Darkness rock out one last time. Behind the scenes, though, Ozzy was in pain. He had been struggling with several health problems, including Parkinson's disease. This illness made it hard for him to stand or walk. Back in February 2020, Ozzy said, "A mild form of Parkinson's at the moment. I'm not shaking. The doctor told me that I probably walk by 10 people a day who have got it and don't even know they've got it." He added, "You don't get a pimple on your forehead. You just start walking a bit funny, I suppose." Even though his movements changed, Ozzy kept pushing forward. He never gave up, even when things became too painful to hide. What happened after his diagnosis was both heartbreaking and inspiring. The tour that never finished. In 2017, Ozzy announced what he called his Farewell World Tour. It was supposed to happen from 2018 to 2020. At the time, he said this would be his last big tour, though he might do some shows here and there. But things didn't go as planned. In October 2018, his health began to decline. He had to cancel shows after getting an infection in his thumb and needed hand surgery. Then in January 2019, Ozzy got very sick with a severe upper respiratory infection. He had to postpone the UK and European parts of his tour. Ozzy told fans, "It just seems that since October, everything I touch has turned to assa." While recovering from that illness, things got even worse. He fell in his Los Angeles home and made an old injury worse. That injury was from a serious ATV accident in 2003. Ozzy had to get neck surgery in April 2019 and canceled all his remaining shows that year. Between 2019 and 2023, he had 3 more spinal surgeries. His last one was in September 2023. It was a long road of pain and recovery. In 2023, Ozzy said that surgery would be his final one. He said, "It's going to be the final surgery because I can't do it anymore. Regardless of the way it ends up, I can't." He also shared a little hope saying, "I walked upstairs today for the first time in a while, and my feet feel like I've got diving boots on." That moment meant something to him. It showed how hard he was still fighting. But even with that small win, Ozzy knew his body was close to its limit. Living with Parkinson's and a family's silent pain. Ozzy finally shared his Parkinson's diagnosis with fans during a Good Morning America interview in January 2020. He was joined by Sharon and their children, Jack and Kelly. Sharon was clear that it wasn't the end, saying, "It's not a death sentence by any stretch of the imagination. It's like you have a good day, and then a really bad day." Ozzy also explained why he came forward with the news. "I'm no good with secrets," he said. "I cannot walk around with it anymore because it's like I'm running out of excuses, you know?" Sharon later shared that Ozzy was first diagnosed with Parkinson's way back in 2003. In the 2022 documentary Paxman, Living with Parkinson's, she made this revelation. "Life as you knew it comes to a sudden halt," as Sharon put it in that film. Her words, "When I look at my husband, my heart breaks for him," conveyed the depth of her inner anguish. "Seeing him in that state saddens me, but I can't imagine the pain he must be experiencing. And there are moments when I can't help but cry because he has no idea I'm staring at him." As a family, the Osbournes saw Parkinson's disease as more than a medical issue. It shifted everything for them. Ozzy, who had to give up his beloved occupation after decades of hard labor, was at a loss. "Coming from a working-class background, I hate disappointing people," he said on Good Morning America. "It pains me to be unproductive. So it makes me feel good when I see my family working so that they can support me. I feel bad about not being able to help out my family because of that." Being completely powerless was a difficult experience for someone who had always given so much and been a showstopper. Even so, his loved ones were there for him every step of the way, providing emotional support and practical assistance. Also, Parkinson's disease wasn't the start of Ozzy's health problems. Over the years, his body had suffered significant harm, dependency, and the burden of it all. He was involved in a terrible ATV accident in 2003. Serious bleeding in his lungs was present, and he fractured his clavicle and 6 ribs. The doctors were under a time crunch to save his life. The father was taking a break from promoting a duet with his daughter Kelly when the accident occurred. After that, he fell again in 2019, this time while using the restroom. A set of metal rods in his back from an ATV accident years ago were dislodged when he slipped. For reasons that Ozzy would later clarify, I tripped and landed awkwardly. You think everyone knows what they're doing, he said, so I went to the physicians. While I'm saying, I'll see you in a few minutes, my son Jack recorded me about to go under the knife. In the time after, I walked incorrectly. His life was altered by these injuries. Things that were formerly simple became incredibly challenging, if not impossible, but he persisted nevertheless. His 2019 tour dates in Australia and New Zealand were cancelled due to pneumonia. Ozzy had spent time in the hospital after developing pneumonia, according to his wife Sharon's post at the time. The hardest part is over for him. The medical professionals who have treated him have recommended that he rest at home for the entire 6 weeks. Ozzy fought addiction in addition to all the injuries and illnesses. In the 1970s, he began his struggle with substance abuse and alcohol. He became more forthcoming about it over time. He came clean in 2024, acknowledging that he had made progress towards sobriety. He claimed, "I'm happy to report that my tolerance is gone, since, once he starts drinking, he starts seeking out narcotics." His second point was that Sharon was well prepared to handle a chaotic situation. Many people found comfort in his candor on his struggles with addiction. It proved that not even a rock icon was immune to defeat. Ozzy kept speaking up despite the mayhem, suffering, and operations. His remarks were truthful even in his twilight years. Ozzy started to detach himself from the limelight as the world observed him fight through it all. At this moment, the stage was of little importance. Here, tranquility, loved ones, and a place to call home were paramount. Peace and tranquility in Ozzy's final residence. Ozzy Osbourne had intended to go back to his house in Buckinghamshire, England, before he passed away. He let Rolling Stone in on the secret that the house was undergoing major renovations in a December 2023 interview. He mentioned that he planned to make it his permanent home once everything was taken care of. Ozzy seems to be thinking a lot about his life's meaning during that period. "If I am lucky," he added, "I will feel it. Sometimes I feel like I'm living on borrowed time. I have no idea how I managed to stay alive." In addition, he discussed their shared adventure with Sharon. "I was just telling Sharon how wonderful our lives have been and how much we have accomplished." Despite his health challenges, Ozzy expressed gratitude for what he had experienced through his comments. That part of their lives was also ready to end, and Sharon felt the same way. She informed Billboard, "We're done," before to Ozzy's last performance in 2025. "I'm done. I started when I was 15 years old. Without a schedule to adhere to, we simply want to do what makes us happy." This was the couple's method of signaling their readiness for peace after spending the most of their life in the public eye. However, before he genuinely departed, Ozzy had one more gift to offer his followers. Last night's show. It was July 5th, 2025, that Ozzy Osbourne gave his final performance. Back to the Beginning was the name of the show, and it took place in Birmingham, the city where his journey with Black Sabbath began. Ozzy hadn't performed with the original Black Sabbath lineup in 20 years, so this was a special occasion. In preparation for a moving departure, he reconnected with Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi, and Bill Ward. On his radio show, Ozzy Speaks, Ozzy announced his concert preparations in the days preceding up to the event. "I will do the show if my God wants me to," he declared. "I intend to reach that destination by any means necessary. I'm putting my all into it." Despite not having exercised in over 7 years, he was nonetheless determined. Ozzy was unable to move independently due to his Parkinson's disease. As a tribute to his well-known moniker, he performed while perched on a throne adorned with bat designs. The event was Sharon's idea, he told The Guardian in May 2025. Her goal was to make sure he had something to look forward to when he woke up. Ozzy stayed faithful to his original style that night by wearing black and dark eye makeup. Crazy Train, Mama, I'm Coming Home, Suicide Solution, I Don't Know, and Mr. Crowley were among his tunes. He left viewers with one last message before the broadcast ended. "Dude, I'm at a loss for words. For the past 6 years, I've been bedridden. No one can possibly comprehend the depth of my emotions. Much obliged. My deepest sympathies." Clearly moved, he raised his hands in the air and kissed the onlookers. Fireworks illuminated Villa Park, the stadium. Big, bold letters sprang up on a banner. "Everything is much appreciated. You all are just great. Forever in Birmingham." It was the ideal way to cap off an illustrious career. However, much was transpiring behind the scenes despite the heartfelt farewell. It took time for that last show to come together. In retrospect, Sharon revealed that the two of them had been plotting it for 2 years. According to her interview with Rolling Stone UK, she was deeply moved by the incident. "The overwhelming yes from everyone was incredible. There we are. Sabbath and Ozzy have our full support, and we hope to be present for the charity event." The fact that so many artists stepped up to the plate made Sharon very happy. Supporters included Smashing Pumpkins' Billy Corgan, Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst, and Guns N' Roses' Duff McKagan and Slash, among others. As the show's musical director, Rage Against the Machine's Tom Morello proclaimed it to be the pinnacle of heavy metal concerts. Fans were already excited, and that headline just made things worse. Although his health had prevented Ozzy from performing live for a while, he and his therapist had been diligently preparing for his return. Ozzy is seeing his therapist daily, according to Sharon. Actually, he's thriving. In her words, Ozzy wanted the show to be unforgettable for his fans. She went on to say that Ozzy's fans are his everything. Ozzy gave the performance his all despite having to sit on a throne during the performance because of his Parkinson's disease. Unknown Mr. Crowley, Crazy Train, Mama, I'm Coming Home, and Suicide Solution were all songs he sung. He conveyed deep feelings in his address to the audience. Dude, I'm at a loss for words. For the past 6 years, I've been bedridden. Thank you from the depths of my heart. Words cannot express how much I appreciate it. The sky was illuminated by fireworks as he raised his hands in the air and kissed the throng. Ozzy shared an Instagram snapshot of a sign in his dressing room that read, "Back to the beginning" before the show. Though brief, his caption conveyed a great deal. Now is the moment for me to start all again. When word of his death arrived 2 weeks later, that post took on an even more poignant tone. Sharon further mentioned that Ozzy should use this opportunity to express his gratitude to his fans. At last, Ozzy gets an opportunity to express his gratitude to everyone who has helped him along the way and who has been instrumental in making our lives what it is now. No, that evening was more than just a concert. There was music, there were blunders, there were second chances, and there were individuals who supported him throughout his life. Tributes from friends and a proper departure. The last performance by Ozzy was moving and powerful. What followed, though, added depth to the significance. Ozzy died on July 22nd, barely 2 weeks after that night. Everything seemed even more weird because of the timing. It was as though he sensed that his era was drawing to a close. His concert remarks, facial expressions, and message to the audience suddenly had more weight. "You have no notion how I feel," he had stated throughout the program. "My deepest gratitude goes out to you." It sounded like farewell now. Unexpectedly, Ozzy had accomplished more at the age of 76. Unfazed by Parkinson's, he persisted. Perched on that throne, he delivered an unforgettable performance. Plus, he concluded it right where it started. Birmingham City. The city, the spectators, the tunes, the instant. Every single detail fit snugly into place. Despite his deteriorating health, Ozzy gave it his all. In exchange, the audience showered him with their affection, applause, and even tears. The seat he occupied wasn't only a chair. It represented all he had created and all he was leaving behind. Ozzy Osbourne's wife Sharon and 4 children, Louis, Jack, Kelly, and Amy, released a joint statement revealing the tragic news when he died on the morning of July 22nd, 2025, at the age of 76. "Words cannot express the depth of our sorrow at the news of Ozzy Osbourne's passing this morning," they stated. There was affection all around him while he was with his family. During this difficult period, the note requested privacy and was placed online. Along with the remarks, they also uploaded a photo of Ozzy from his last gig 2 weeks ago, where he was seated in a black-winged throne. Black Sabbath's charity event, Back to the Beginning, featured the performance. Among the many charities that benefited from the performance were Cure Parkinson's, Birmingham Children's Hospital, and Acorns Children's Hospice. The moment word got out about Ozzy's death, condolences started coming in from all around the globe. A brief but impactful message, "Ozzy Forever," was released by Black Sabbath. According to what Elton John posted on Instagram, he was a legendary rock star who was also a great friend and a giant in the industry. He went on to say that he would miss Ozzy terribly and that he was one of the funniest individuals he had ever met. The news broke to Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones, who expressed his sadness and brought up Ozzy's touching farewell spectacle in Birmingham. Metallica posted a throwback photo of Ozzy with the band along with a heart emoji. The musician Youngblood was taken aback. Only a few weeks prior to the last gig, he had crossed paths with Ozzy. "Your laughter echoed across the room," he remarked, "and you were bursting with energy." Legends seem to have knowledge that the rest of us lack because of the way it is written. The music was enough, Youngblood reportedly told Ozzy when the latter asked if he could be of any assistance. The best of all time, according to him, was Ozzy. "Love you, Ozzy. All my aloha, Sharon," commented actor Jason Momoa, who hosted the final concert, beside a photo of Ozzy and Sharon. "Our love for you, Ozzy, knows no bounds," as Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day put it. "Sad to report Ozzy has passed away. He was a giant," Kiss Gene Simmons said. "It was in high school when Pearl Jam's Mike McCready first heard Ozzy's songs. A gloomy cosmos was whisked away by Ozzy's voice, he wrote. Being fortunate enough to collaborate with Ozzy on the song Immortal allowed him to express his gratitude for Ozzy's music, which he felt enhanced his life's journey. Ozzy changed my life, according to Twisted Sister's Dee Snider. One of the greatest of all time, R.I.P. Sean Lennon wrote beside a throwback photo. To paraphrase what actor Paddy Considine said, "Give them hell." Ozzy was a legend. Flavor Flav, who had known Ozzy for years, uploaded images and expressed his deep sadness. No one was more badass to crank up our speakers than the one and only Prince of Darkness, according to Adam Sandler, who co-starred with Ozzy in the 2000 film Little Nicky. Fortunately, PETA's Lisa Lang recalled Ozzy's fondness for critters and his struggle against the evils of animal abuse. Animal rights activists throughout the globe will miss Ozzy. The support from celebrities and fans demonstrated how big of an impact Ozzy had on individuals all across the globe. With tributes pouring in from all directions, one question lingered in the minds of all. We don't know what caused him to pass away. Many people were still trying to figure out what had happened while the globe grieved. No official cause of death had been disclosed when Ozzy Osbourne passed away, but he had been rather forthright about his health issues, particularly his Parkinson's illness. According to the family statement, he was in the company of loved ones and enveloped in a warm embrace. Their need for privacy was reiterated. In 2020, Ozzy initially discussed his Parkinson's diagnosis. It was quite difficult, according to him. It had a negative impact on his health, he said, impeding his mobility and gait. The neurological disorder known as Parkinson's progresses subtly but steadily over time. According to his wife Sharon, Ozzy was also having a hard time. Many people assumed his long-term illness was a factor in his death, even though his family did not specify a cause of death. It was claimed in 2019 that Ozzy has been coping with Parkinson's disease by The Independent, the UK Sun, and The Mirror. According to some sources, he was reportedly diagnosed earlier. Nonetheless, he chose to keep the news to himself until he was ready to announce it. Notwithstanding this, Ozzy battled valiantly to leave fans with a lasting impression. He had given it his all in his final performance, only days before he passed away. Sharon mentioned that they met with a therapist every day to prepare him. She assured me that he is doing okay. Ozzy finally had his chance to depart on his own terms, just as he had promised. He bid farewell to his devoted followers from his perch atop the stage in the very city from which it all started. And with his loved ones by his side, he peacefully departed this world 2 weeks later. Sharon, his wife of 33 years, and their 3 children, Amy, Kelly, and Jack, are his surviving relatives. His previous marriage to Thelma Riley produced 2 older children, Louis and Jessica. He is also survived by multiple grandkids and an adopted son named Elliot Kingsley. What do you think about the details that have been revealed about Ozzy Osbourne's death? Also, when you think of the Prince of Darkness, what comes to mind first? Which came first, his music, his hardships, or his farewell? Feel free to provide your opinions in the space provided. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more amazing stories from the fascinating history of Hollywood. Catch you later.